Happy 12th week in ordinary time. It's Wednesday. Today's gospel is Matthew chapter 7, verses 15 through 20, where God is talking about the fruit and how do you discern good from bad. Essentially, he says the way to do that is by looking at what's produced by teachings or actions, etc. So it's an invitation for patience, one to think about, in our culture today, there's always this instant gratification feeling that happens. Imagine you're looking for a place to stay on Airbnb. So you start to look maybe a month ahead of time, and then you find a place you like, and there's this feeling inside of you like, oh, if I don't book it right now, someone else is going to book it tomorrow, and then I won't have the option. And you just feel, like I gotta move now. So this is kind of an invitation to fight against that urge and to really take time for discernment. That sometimes that does take time. So the key here, Jesus is talking about be weary and be willing to be patient. Take your time. Of course, on the flippy flip, if you take too much time, life will pass you by. So it's not to say don't move, but it is to use prudence, which is funny because you prune when you cut trees, and he's talking about fruit trees. So I'm sure that's all very related. I'm sure somebody could tell me how in a better way than I know. The other thing that is an invitation from Jesus in this gospel is to get involved. Don't be afraid to go and get messy, because you have to go collect data, essentially, if you're going to see what the fruit is. When you go to the grocery store and you look at the grapes, don't you normally just like test one of the grapes before you buy the whole thing? And once you do that with all the food, if you could. So when you do that, you risk taking a bad grape, right? And in this same sort of thought, you have to kind of be willing to get your hands messy, in a sense, to find out if there's fruit that's good or bad. And this applies to your daily life. If you're thinking about adding something into your routine or changing something or trying a new diet or going to the gym or reading a book, you might want to have a little sample and then just see after a week how you're feeling. Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Do you feel closer to God, or do you feel further away? It's very Ignatian to test the spirits, so you can see what's leading you closer to the heavenly kingdom and what might be leading you astray, and then to adjust accordingly. So don't lock yourself into any sort of fixed contract. And also, at the end of the day, to really know that God's grace is bigger than everything. So, of course, you are doing your due diligence to beware of false prophets. And also, as long as you are totally relying on Christ in everything and saying, well, Lord, I just don't know, but I'm going to try, then you can find that you start to develop a relationship with the Spirit, and you'll start to develop your intuition in a way such that he's moving and he's active, and you can really better discern and say, oh yeah, okay, this, not that. And again, another really good thing is to have spiritual counsel. So if you have a spiritual director, or you have friends who have like-minded opinions, priests, Catholic circles, books, anybody you know who's gone through a similar situation, it's good to seek advice. So there you go. That's my reflection on the Gospels for Matthew 7, 15 through 20. Good fruit. Let's all have apple pie.